Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy V Moss. Welcome to another episode of Neptunes Sunday. I do this all the time where I say we got to anytime we have a guest, I say it's a special guest, but it's because all the guests are special, yo. My man, Fraser Tharpe, Senior Associate Editor for GQ, is joining us on the podcast today. Fraser, what's good, bro?
Yes, sir. What up? Thank you for having me.
So we're gonna get into some specifics. There's a reason why Fraser's on this podcast. But first, introduce yourself to the people, man. Tell them how you got to this spot at GQ.
Yeah, man. So I'm basically the entertainment editor. It's like it says like associate editor because of like fucking corporate internal structures and shit. But essentially, what it is the entertainment editor. So that means I run the whole section that oversees music, movies, and TV coverage on the website, and sometimes in the mag too. But it's chill, man. It's been a long road. I started at Complex when I was still in college, actually. So like 10 years ago. And I pretty much stayed there for a while, and it was a really great place to just come into your own. And they let me do so much shit and try so much shit that a lot of other places wouldn't. And then, GQ came calling around a certain time, and it just made sense to leave and try to take that next step. So
yeah, for sure.
What we doing?
So the year's almost over. What do you think is your favorite or the biggest moment that you guys have worked on in your role at GQ this year?
Biggest thing that I worked on, or biggest thing we've done?
That you personally have been involved with.
Oh, I mean, I think our future cover was sick.
That's what my man
Elliot Wilson.
Elliot.
Yeah, that was really cool. Obviously, like, I think people thought we were like trolling or just trying to get clicks with the best rapper alive thing, but it was nice to just come out there, and we just like to put a stamp on it. Like, we're not, why else would we be having Future on the cover if we didn't think his legacy was a little underrated? So
for sure,
hyperbolic as we shout that. And then thankfully, we did that whole story and cover without really hearing the album. So thankfully he came out and put like a #1 song of the summer smash up and shit to
that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. Obviously, this being a Neptunes podcast, got to talk about the Chad Hugo feature from earlier this year.
Oh yeah, that was also something that I was instrumental in. Like, I love that type of those are my favorite stories to do. Like, as an editor, like, I don't really write that much anymore, pretty much when I want to, which is never. But it's nice to just put something really special together and maybe highlight someone who wouldn't have been on GQ's radar if I wasn't there. And the crazy thing about that Chad shit is that we put ours out, and then like 2 to 3 weeks later, like a lot of other stories followed. So it looked like he was on like kind of a press run, which was, but we've been sitting on that story for like 6 months, man. Like,
wow,
or longer. Like, there was just a time where I was like, I just wanted to read that. Like, Chad wasn't doing anything. No one reached out to me. Like, I had to like dig up how to find Chad on his own without Pharrell, obviously, and shit. But we like, let's read like the definitive just Chad story. And then we just like held on to it for a while because there was no real rush to put it out.
Right.
So it's funny. It's just funny that it looks like he was like going on a run where literally I was just randomly thinking one day, like, what's Chad Hugo up to?
Yeah, that's dope to hear because, like you said, it was a random, very rare press run from Chad around the same time. Like, I remember watching that interview he did with Rosenberg, I think, on Hot 97, and it just felt like awkward. Like, it just felt weird. Like, Chad was just doing it because someone told him to do it. It felt like I felt bad for Rosenberg because they felt like it was almost like he underestimated how awkward and how much Chad is in his own world. And if you don't know that and you're not around it and you're not really in the space like that, like, and you just think, well, Chad's coming, we're just gonna have a regular conversation, like, that's not gonna happen. Like,
yeah, and that's what I think. That's like the part of my job I take the most seriously, like finding the right writer. Like, we put him with Jeff Mao, who's like a legend, a veteran. I really overthink who's going to be the right person to pair with this artist and who's going to get the best story out of him. So humbly, I think we have the best like Chad interview out of that whole run, and it was a real pleasure to work on.
And definitely props to you and props to Jeff Mao. Like, as a fan of those guys who know a little bit more of their story than the average person, like, just to hear him talking about what he's been doing and like being back at home in the community band with his band teacher, like all that stuff is like really dope for someone who's from Virginia, who's followed them, like, to really see that side of him here and pop up and like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing what I do, like, I want to go work at Guitar Center, like, I'm just being Chad, which I thought was really cool. So definitely props to y'all on that.
Yeah, man.
So like I said, we got Fraser here for a special reason. I think Fraser's definitely, I guess he could be considered one of the Hovengers, what Ain't No Jigga calls.
Let me tell you, no shout out, no disrespect to Ain't No Jigga. I love Ain't No Jigga. talk to them all the time, but I feel like we can do better than Hovengers. I don't have a solution, but I just feel like I hear Hovengers and I'm like, I don't know. But continue.
Yeah, man. So first off, just give the people a little bit of insight on how the whole chopping it up with Guru after the God did verse, how that came to be about, which I thought was super special. Like obviously Guru has a crazy perspective on all of this. So to be able to just, the song comes out, like say, we see you and Rob down there sitting in the room with them, was just it for us who know what's going on. Like that was a big deal shit for us.
Let me tell you, bro, I shouldn't have even like forget about what the cameras caught. Like some of the stories Guru was telling like off camera, like I should have just been like scribbling down in notes to make sure I remember. Like he was just like, really, really great, humble dude for being part of such a legendary like dynasty. And man, like that guy just has stories for days.
For sure.
But yeah, I think like Khaled and Lenny S have realized that there was so much hype around the verse coming out to it, which obviously they started to promote the album, but they wanted to make sure that people that got it or get it when it comes to Hove were among the first to really converse about it in a public forum. So yeah, I mean that was a real very cool day. It's nothing like hearing a new Jay-Z verse for the first time with Young Guru.
Crazy. There's no better person other than Hove himself to be like sitting there like going through it and like,
yeah, that's my next step. Like next time you guys are at Jungle Studios or whatever, I'll be there immediately. I mean,
man, speak that shit into existence, bro. It's coming. We already receiving it, bro. That's dope, man. I rewatched it the other day and it was just like just the way that Goo tells these stories about it and breaks down the lyrics, and like just to watch you and Rob's reaction to it, like, bro, like we know Jay-Z shit, like you two know Jay-Z shit, but to see Goo take it to another level and blow you guys' minds in real time, just like, bro, like this is crazy shit, man. Crazy shit.
Wild.
All right, man. So we here 20 years ago in November, 20 years of Blueprint 2. What I'd like to think of as one of the more polarizing Hove albums for a bunch of different reasons.
Yeah.
So first off, let me get your overall thoughts on the album.
It's funny because like you go into this, you kind of like put your, like it's known, like like you said, like having you on for a special episode for a special reason, like it's known that I'm like a Jay-Z guy, right? So it's funny that when you put that out there though, then people, you share your opinion and people just immediately think like you're standing, or like Hope can do no wrong and that type of shit. I'm like, bro, like it's never been that way. So I say that to say I started listening to Jay-Z when I was like probably 7 or 8. By like 8 or 9, I was like, all right, this guy's my favorite rapper. And I was snapping up every release, every single after that. And so I definitely bought Blueprint 2, like from Sam Goody or whatever the fuck, in November 2002. And obviously I was like 12 years old then. So I don't really I know that I didn't like it that much. Even at 12, as a like, obviously, like it's funny because like you re-listen to shit. Like I know that I like the Blueprint, but obviously there was a time when I was older when I like really understood why the Blueprint is so good and was like more impressed because I had more context for it and all that shit. But I know, like I know, like when I was 12 years old, bro, I got to that Sean Paul song, like what the fuck is this? But what's crazy is that, like, you keep going back to stuff you give. I like to just let stuff rock on my own. Like, obviously, a dude tweeted the other day, and it's a hot take, but it's not like a uncommon take. I've seen it out there that Jay-Z's technical prowess, like his lyrics, his flows, and all that shit on Blueprint 2 are incredibly sharp.
Yes.
Some would say sharper than the Blueprint, which is going too far.
I think it is going too far. It's definitely sharper than
it is sharp, and it's a solid album. I think people, the ire that people have for like volume 1 is what they should have for volume 2. I mean, for Blueprint 2, because like whenever someone gets Jay talking about volume 1, what's he say? He's always like, I fucked it up with like, if it just took like one of these 2 or 3 songs off, it would be looked at as a classic. And it's like Blueprint 2 has so many like sick highs that just get washed out by just like the volume of it and kind of just the scattered nature of it. But I think that was also his intent, was just to show his range.
Right.
But you know, it was an experiment.
It's good to see Guru fall on the sword and take responsibility for it. He said him and hip hop gassed him up, gassed Jay up, and said, "You need a double disc because Biggie got a double disc and Pac got a double disc. Like you need the double disc." And I'm just like, there are, like you said, there's some really dope moments. I think that they were being super aggressive. Like for example, you got a song with Lenny Kravitz produced by Heavy D, like that. And you when you step back and you say, "Oh, that song's gonna be amazing," it's like, it's cool.
I like that song.
I like it too, but it's like it's not like I don't know, man. I just felt like there was a lot of good intention on some but like they both said, it's too many songs, man. Like at the end of the day, it's too many songs. I thought
like you're trying to fill a certain slot, right? Because it's like
right.
two discs, they should both have at least 10 songs. So then I think what happens is like because you have so much room to play, then you're not editing as harshly as you are on an album that you're trying to keep to 15.
Right. You're not as selective with the songs that
So
or as critical as saying this one's got to go. It's
like I know we're gonna get to the Neptunes specifically later, but like a song like Nigga Please, like that's a crazy beat. The concept is kind of like a cutting room concept to me. Like that's something like they would have cut and then been like, bonus track maybe.
Yeah, let's come back to that. Like I think the other highlight to me, I Meet the Parents is probably one of the best Hope storytelling songs, which I think is dope. You know, a song that I think is really underrated from the album is The Watcher 2. I think Hope's verse on that is kind of like,
oh, that's one of his best verses. You gotta,
out of this world.
That's one of his best verses of all time. And actually, like, the funny thing about the album is that my man Angel compares Blueprint 2 to Nas to Drake with Scorpion after Pusha. So it's like you have to look at the album in the context of the aftermath of Ether, right? So that's why it's almost overconfident to show, you know, a hint of like unbotheredness or whatever,
right?
Which could, you know, especially for Drake, I don't think it worked out that well. For Blueprint 2, I think it plays a little bit more successfully. But the funny thing is that, and I didn't realize this until I was actually, I think before you hit me, it might have been after that dude's tweet, I ran the album for the first time, like in full in a while. And there's like the album itself is just like one big Nas troll in a way. It's really, really funny to me. Like obviously there's the diss track, which if you want to talk about underrated, like that's when everyone talks about their beef, then no one talks about the song, which is like, it's a great diss song. But there's so many, so like, you know, one of the big disses in Ether was the Biggie thing, right? How many big lines come out your fat ass lips, whatever. And then he starts the album.
Opens the album. With Faith on it.
Yeah, and then the album's biggest single is a interpolated Biggie fucking line, and also Nas was like really obsessed with Rakim. I don't know if you remember, and had not done a song with Rakim, so that Watcher 2 made me think of it. It's like to have Rakim on the track. Like there's so many like little sub-level, subliminal, petty things that are on there that are like just really funny to think about in context. But you know, it also, maybe if he wasn't thinking about that too much, he would have been focused on making a tighter album in different ways. You never know. But
yeah, Hove is, you know, like y'all talked about it with Guru, like Hove sees and hears all, right? He don't forget shit. So like it's funny you mentioned that, because it's like he sprinkles that little stuff here and there to make sure that
the album, there's so much for like, even like you know, Nas kind of called him like a misogynist on Ether, so I'm insecure, whatever. So he has bitches and sisters and all that shit. Like there are all types of different little, you know, responses out there.
Yeah, man. And you mentioned it too, like Blueprint 2, the song was definitely a nice bow to wrap up that beef and say, okay, cool. Yeah, we're done here. Like this a subtle way, but like the bars that he let out on that one were just, is it Ujiwali or is it One Mic? Like
hard.
Come on, man. Like, come on.
Hard.
All right, let's get into the Neptunes.
Like I think, you know, he had like, when you compare that to Scorpion, it's like Drake doesn't have a song on Scorpion that's like directly at Pusha and or Kanye.
Right.
Like all types of bars that we know are bars for them, but it's just
not that specific.
Funny charting each, but it's also like, you know, with the double album thing, you know, people we watch artists stack albums now with a lot of songs, and they say it's for streaming, right? To gain the numbers, the more quantity you have, obviously, right? But double albums worked the same way back in the day, because they counted as 2 discs. So you doubled your sales. So it's like I said, Blueprint 2 is an experiment, but one you can't be mad at, because it's not like Jay indulged it and then he moved on.
Right.
Like we never got an album anywhere close to that long ever again, which was, I think says a lot.
Yeah, not even close. I mean, I think
No,
American Gangster had a bunch of songs on it, but I think
I think he tends to really stick to like 14, 15.
yeah, yeah. We'll get into this in a second too, but like then that just brings up the whole concept of the releasing the Blueprint 2.1 afterwards. Like the songs that they kept on there, some of them I'm just like, bro, like what? Like you
Yeah,
said, the Sean Paul one.
it
Like
didn't really do what it was supposed to do in terms of streamlining the album. And then it's like at this point, I don't know the context of that too much or how quickly it came out after, but it's kind of like a reaction that didn't need to really be indulged. It's like if
right,
people are complaining about the length, then you have to like really cut it down. But it's like we see that now when people make playlists of albums that are too long and shit. But
right.
it is what it is.
But I think the only
2.1 has stopped though. That's a good
yeah, it
song.
has Stop and La 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 on it.
Yeah, but La 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 was more of like a I always associated that with the Bad Boys
Bad
2.
Boys 2. Yeah, for sure. That which is completely aside random note. Like that soundtrack was actually like very good. Like that soundtrack was very good. Very good. Very good. Shake Your Tail Feather was crazy.
On that, yeah.
All right, bro. So let's get into the Neptunes tracks. There's four of them. Ballad of Fallen Soldier, Nigga Please, Fuck All Night, Excuse Me Miss.
How you want to do? You want to go one by one?
Go ahead. You give your thoughts on them, and I'll give you mine. I want you to go first.
All four or like
Yeah, all four.
I think I mean listen, Jay and Neptunes is one of the like you can talk about Jay's relationship with certain producers and their stories unto themselves. I think
Yep.
the Neptunes have to be it's crazy to say, but because you have Blaze, you have Timbaland, you have Neptunes, but the Neptunes are really, really fighting for that top 3 Jay Collaborator spot.
Yep.
And I think when you step back and look at the tapestry of their work, Blueprint 2 is not going to come up that high or be that significant. But it's that when you're that locked in with each other, the song, there's still good songs, like
right.
What's crazy is but what's really funny is that it's different for someone like Just Blaze. Like some of Just Blaze's best work with Hove is on here, and Kingdom Come, which are the 2 albums that you would probably put on, which is funny. But anyway, I mean, let's start with Excuse Me Miss. Like I think that when you get to like artists like Jay-Z that are popular, like there's a certain level of like ubiquity, I think, where you start taking certain songs for granted. And I think that definitely happened to me with that song, some of his other songs for sure. It's like it's a great song, but it's just not like it's been 20 years now. Like I'm not listening to that all the time. But it's one of those things where it's like when you go back, like the other day, like I think I saw someone tweeting about a J. Rick Rubin story and it made me listen to 99 Problems for the first time, and I don't know how. Like that song's like ubiquitous to me. I like barely even think about it now because it's just so ingrained. But when you kind of reset yourself to just really listen to it, like this is a great fucking song. So that happened to me with Excuse Me Miss. Like I said, when I was playing the album for the first time a while, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, this is a fucking great song. Excuse Me Miss is fantastic. Definitely like one of Jay-Z's peaks in terms of pop songwriting.
For sure. And the video definitely in that growing up in that era, like the video took it to the next level. You got
bro,
the whole Rockefeller is in suits in the club, like Beanie Siegel and like Young Chris and those guys dressed up, like for sure.
All right. And then when you go to a song like I was saying, like Nigga Please, that's just like it's just like perfectly fine. Like it's a really cool beat.
It's a good song.
I would just never ever go out of my way to listen to it. Like it just. And one thing that we got to give Blueprint 2 real props for is it's a real dedicated effort to put The Rock at large. Like everybody gets a chance to shine.
MOP on the You Don't Know remix.
Literally everybody gets a chance to shine. So you can't, like when he was at like his highest commercial peak. So that, you got to appreciate that, but it's totally like if you were ranking Jay Neptune songs, it would be bottom 5.
So speaking on Nigga Please, right? Wanted to get your thoughts on, there's always been some rumblings about that song being the song that made people realize that Hove might be borrowing or being inspired by Young Chris's flow. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think Jay-Z just has a lot of different flows. And we see that with collaborators all the time, bro. Like for the most part, like whatever artist is working with another artist, it's usually like the guest that adopts the flow of the featured artist, the lead artist. But yeah, I mean, I think the young Chris flow is just one that worked out for Jay-Z in a while, but it's also not it's not like the most distinct flow where you could like really call him like a thief for it.
Right, right.
And I don't think anything he did like shine blocked young Chris.
No.
You know, it's just a very like, let's give credit to young Chris for creating like a very sturdy flow to ride most of that production that they were rocking out, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think you could argue too, is like these guys spending so much time together in the studio and all that. Maybe it was the opposite. Like maybe it was Chris
That's
being
true
inspired
too.
by Hove.
Because like there's a whole lot of things. Like I think, you know, what's funny is like Jay Electronica tweeted the only Christopher we acknowledge is Wallace thing 2 years before that Jay song came out.
Wow.
But what people don't know is that that Jay song was 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of how it goes. So that's a very good point that I never thought about. But you know, young Chris could have patterned his flow from things, but also it's like we said, the whole point of Blueprint 2 is the wide range of flows, right?
Right.
So
The
you know,
wide range of flows and the wide range of subject matter too. Like,
yeah, man. Like actually I just read a Pitchfork review that I never read on it that was like pretty favorable. Like it's a big swing that you come away respecting more than shaking your head at.
right.
And I think when it comes to the Chris flow, it's just kind of like Jay-Z has a whole bag of flows. And I think Chris is just one that kind of lends itself to it's like a everyman flow almost. And so that's why it looks that way when you step back. But yeah. Nigga, please.
I mean, the other two songs, like
Ballad for a Fallen Soldier is I really like the hook on that.
yeah, I think that's Mark Dorsey too. Guy that did Love You Better.
Yeah. Which is weird because he works with Pharrell a lot and he kind of sounds like Pharrell.
A little bit. Yep.
Right, which is funny. But I do find myself listening to that. Like I threw that in like in a couple just like, you know, like when you're chilling out playlists. As a song concept, it's a little tortured. It's working hard. It feels like a term paper.
Yeah. Know? I mean, at the timing, right? Like it's right after 9/11, right around Iraq War. Like Jay-Z, again, we just said wide flows, wide subject matter. He's trying to step into the politics game and give us some social commentary, which he actually has done okay in more recent work. But like,
I think with artists like him who are not quote unquote like conscious or whatever, it always comes off better when they're saying like there are Jay-Z lines that are they're just like lines, right? But they'll be packed with a lot of social commentary when you get just the meaning of it, or just like, and it's not even like the craziest like entendre thing. It's just like a really slick line that holds a lot of weight.
Right.
And I think that always works out better for those dudes than when they try to attack a whole song from that thing. And you can just, it's a good song, but you can feel the work.
Right.
You know?
Very forced.
Which leaves us with Fuck All Night, which is my favorite Jay Neptune song on here. I love that song. That's a song that 12-year-old me probably liked, and I fuck with it now. And obviously, again, like you talk about like being removed from that adolescence and coming into an adult and the context of that moment for adults and you know, the broader thing. I get it. I get why people would blanch at a Jay-Z song like that. But for me, like it's just, it has like a real, like, I can't, I've been trying to think about what like subgenre of pop it reminds me of, but it has like some kind of like 70s swing to it that's just like funky. But like, you know, I get, you know, you don't want the nigga that made The Evils rapping about this shit. I get it, but it's chill, like it's harmless, bro, and it's funny. Like I like Player J.
It's not for the lyrical purists. It's a fun song, and it's like Pharrell and Chad are the perfect people to make a beat for that type of song. Where Hope is just like talking shit. He's enjoying it. It's really dope when you think about "Excuse Me, Miss" is really like about the love, and I'm trying to like really settle down and then the same two guys make the beat where he's just like talking about this joint that he's just smashing.
Yeah, it's a funny concept. It's lighthearted, and I think it has a Jay that we didn't really see that much of between like there was like Big Pimpin' Jay, right, stunting on parking lot pimping, all that shit, and then in the midst of all this Beyonce shit, this is also like the era where he's about to kill the throwbacks and be grown and sexy, that type shit. This is more like, you know, just like bachelor pad player, multi-millionaire Jay, which I can listen. I can totally understand why some people have no need for that, but like-minded people are catching on, bro. Fucking, I don't know if you remember the clip last year. Carl Cherry was asking Tyler the Creator his top 5 Jay-Z songs, and Fuck All Night made the cut, which is like the most Tyler answer because these
For
are the
sure.
Neptunes beats that Tyler gravitates to
Loves.
recreate himself. So
Yeah.
it's not even trolling. Like it's a genuine answer, and it's definitely not my top 5,
Right.
but it's a very good song. And I think after a while, and also like after like now, right? Like I can see the album dropping then, and niggas being like, "What the fuck?" But it's like he's gone. Like, dude, that was 20 years ago. That's fucking
Right.
crazy. And look at everything he's like. It's not like that was the beginning of the end.
Right.
Like he's
He's
gave
still here.
more classic albums, more classic verses. Like it's fine to listen to Fuck All Night. Like
Yeah, man.
it's not a demon.
He's not still trying to make that same song now. At 52 years old. It's okay.
No, but there I feel like I have a really good encyclopedic knowledge of unreleased Jay songs that he's talked about. And there was around Blueprint 3, him and Kanye and Mr. Hudson made a song called She's Like That All the Time. Which I always wondered what that sounded like. It gave me kind of like Fuck All Night type shit vibes, but they'll probably never put that up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are more like that.
So do you think that it's possible, like if you were to cut this album in half, 12 to 13 songs, could it be considered a classic Jay-Z album?
Yeah, of course. You know what the crazy song I hear is? For one, I think I Did It My Way. I don't like that song, but I think it's really hampered by the fact that they had to use Paul Anka instead of Frank Sinatra. But then like there's certain like Show You How is like sneakily one of the best Jay songs. Like that's like, you don't drive X5s.
We give them the baby mamas.
That's like people know that line, but I don't think the song gets its full respect. Like that's a very disrespectful, stunting, crazy song.
Yeah, man. So that came out. I'm a little bit older than you. This album came out when I was in 11th grade. Okay. And so I went to this like really unique school in Richmond where it was for gifted and talented kids, but also was for kids from like minority and low income background. So it was like, it's a small ass school, small classes. So literally like every year you take a trip. And so this 11th grade year was a trip to Boston where you go see all this historical shit, whatever. But one of my boys, born and raised in the north side of Richmond, his name is Eric, but he used to go by Smoke because he actually used to rap. And the whole trip was just rapping that first verse. And he would just randomly we would be doing something stupid or in the line or on the bus. And he'd be like, we don't drive X5. We give them the baby mamas, push the big top that shaped like a Kansas chick. And I'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, what do you, and then once I realized it, because that's the thing, when you got a double disc album with 25 songs, and this is one of the last songs, like it's easy for that. That's part of the reason why people don't even know that. Like you got to be paying attention, man. But like when I went back and listened to it, I was like, yo, this man Jay-Z is fucking rapping, bro. Like he is rapping on that.
I think so. Actually, there's a fallacy about the Blueprint 2 that I always hear, which is like people used to always say The Gift is kind of whack because it was the more poppy shit, and The Curse is hard. But The Curse has some hard shit on there, but it probably has the most skips. I think, without getting into the weeds of it, right? I think you keep most of The Gift,
right?
Except the Sean Paul song, which should be locked in a fucking iron cast and thrown in the river. And I really don't like the bounce, and I Did It My Way are just not like the bounce is historic for Kanye, but
at the time it was a good record. But it's like
he has like a Shrek 2 bar in there, like it's not
right. You're a monster.
Yeah. Nah. Then I think you keep like Diamond Is Forever is hard,
bro.
Guns N' Roses, I get that's another one where I get why people don't like it, but it doesn't bother me. I think you definitely strike Nigga Please, Too Many Hoes. I have a crazy disrespectful take, and actually What They're Gonna Do Without Sean Paul is fine, but I have a crazy disrespectful take. It hurts my heart to have to admit this, but I never liked As One. Yeah, the sample is good. I just think they didn't really show up or dance on it like the way it just doesn't come together for me.
Yeah. So I actually spent some time and I made my own version of a classic beat, Blueprint 2. And we disagree on a couple songs. And I do agree, like with what you said about the fallacy of The Gift being poppy and The Curse being hard. Like there's songs on The Gift that you gotta keep. And then there's some of them that like it was harder for me to leave off more songs on The Gift than it was on songs on The Curse. Like, but I kept Dream, Hobie Baby, Watcher 2, here's the controversial thing for me that my friends call me out on. I'm gonna choose Excuse Me Miss over '03 Bonnie and Clyde. '03 Bonnie and Clyde is a classic record, man. It's a classic record, but I'm trying to make a classic album.
Yeah, but you need that. You need that's history. That's the Adam Sandler meme. That's history right there.
I know,
That's their
man.
first song together.
I know, man.
And
I don't know.
like the Hearse Aviator lens, Mercedes Benz. Like he's really rapping.
He's really rapping on there.
The thing about Jay-Z is that even on songs that you like that you want to throw out in the trash, like he's still kind of getting off on them. Like
I don't know, man.
Only time we want speakers during Sex in the City is a bar, my nigga.
Yeah, you convincing me. I definitely
Burberry to swim.
I definitely recognize like the
don't let the necessary occur. I think
man.
You inspired me to make a playlist. I'm gonna try to make a playlist on my own.
I just again, I think a lot of it too from my lens is me being a fan of Neptunes and me doing this stupid podcast, right? Like I listen to Neptune shit all the time. So like, Excuse Me Miss sticks with me and pops up in my ears more than '03 Bonnie and Clyde has. And you know, like part of it, not to go on a tangent about my guy from Chicago, Mr. West, but like I'm not really listening to stuff produced or rapped by him that much anymore. So like
because he is showing his ass.
Yeah, because he's showing his ass. I mean, when stuff comes up, I listen to it and I like it. I just haven't really like, part of it has been a combination of that, but part of it has been related to the music that he's put out and me not really feeling that. Or like if you, with the new stuff that's coming out, it's not like, oh, I gotta listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
The new stuff is not great. It's definitely not as good to, if you're gonna act an ass, you gotta put out classic shit.
You're right. You gotta back it up with the best shit ever.
Yeah, but I think I'm not really one to, when it comes to like his old shit, I think, you know, classic is classic.
Classic is classic for sure. Well, I'm just saying that I'm not listening as
You're
much.
Not going out of your way
to listen to. I got an old Kanye playlist on my phone, and I might come back to it maybe once or twice a year, depending on what's going on. But I kept, and I want to get your opinion on this. I kept All Around the World and got rid of Poppin' Tags.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. All Around the World is a good song. It's another one where it's like on a 15-track album, might not make the cut, but it's perfectly fine, inoffensive. Poppin' Tags is one of his best, bottom tier,
right?
Great verse.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're ranking Jay-Z verse, obviously Poppin' Tags doesn't maybe count the top 50, but it's like he's like really,
he's rapping. He's really rapping. But and to me,
and
part of the reason,
like an Outkast song, like it's Sleepy Brown on the hook.
Yeah, Sleepy Brown, Killer Mike,
like
Twister.
Yes, that's a good song.
It's a good song, but I'm trying to like, and when I went back listening to it, I was like, if I'm trying to make a classic Hove album, like you just said, that's a dope, like collaborative, put that on Outkast's album. Like, but I loved it. Like, and I still love it. But when I'm trimming it down, I felt like All Around the World was.
That's because you're not used to, Hove doesn't really have guests like that.
Right.
That's the thing where this song stands out. So
right.
You get one verse from him and then it becomes an Outkast song. I get what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But that's all I had from The Gift.
Okay.
So then I went Diamonds Are Forever. Like, listened to that song last night. I was like, yo, that verse.
Oh, yeah.
He's a menace. You can never be a tenant. I'm like, what's a young nigga? Like, that whole, like, set right there. I was born in a city where the skinny, like, dog. He went crazy on Diamonds Are Forever. Diamonds is Forever.
He said, I snatched purses. I persevered.
Yo, what did he say? Because I'm dark skinned, and don't make me call dude with the fro. Don't make me bring Sharpton in it or dude with the fro from the Rainbow Coalition. Like, I'm a victim of a single parent household, born in a mousetrap. Like, what are you talking about, bro? He's rapping. All right. I liked As One.
Okay.
Part of that is, and you said something about this earlier in terms of like the Jay-Z collaborators, right? I look at this as like Blueprint was Kanye getting off. This was Just Blaze getting off. And like, just because it's on this album, a lot of that doesn't get as much love. And I thought the sample was good. I mean, my mom raised me on the Elements, so like that's probably got something to do with it too. But I thought it was okay.
I wish that song did work for me. I'm very sad that it doesn't, but I have to, you know.
I also, and this is before I lived in Philly, I just love those Philly guys and their work individually and as a group, would say properly. Like, Philadelphia Freeway is one of my favorite albums of all time. Like, so like just having an affinity for Free Beans, PD, and Chris, I think that's part of the reason why I like that song too.
Word.
So then I went Meet the Parents. I think we talked about that being a crazy story. Again, Just Blaze getting off somehow, some way is crazy. Beans, Jay, and Scarface, we should have got an album with the three of them. I think that would have been nuts. I think Somehow, Some Way is great. Some people hate
I love that song.
his
I think
the end of that is crazy.
I think it's the first Jay-Z Maybach reference on Wax.
Okay. I think you might be right. How did he end that? Like that 8 maniac cat strapped with gats. You can hate that. Face facts. You fake rap cats can't take back what I took back to the brook. Look, like
Skating on that.
crazy. All right. Blueprint 2.
Look
I
him up.
kept nigga please, because
We'll just chalk that up to your Neptunes.
and then obviously we talked about Show You How, which is like just
Like, dude, that was
quintessential Hov.
why was that a bonus? That's nuts.
Right.
I didn't realize Ballad for the Fallen Soldiers how the album ends and Show You How is a bonus. That's actually crazy.
Crazy. Show You How is absolutely just ridiculous raps. I think that's a great way to close the album. So yeah, man, go ahead, make your version. By the time we get this episode ready to go out, we'll compare. I think, and again, so let me pull this up while I'm thinking about it, so we can talk about the difference. All right, so Blueprint 2.1, Dream, Hovey Baby, Watcher, 03, Bonnie and Clyde, Excuse Me Miss, All Around the World, and then they go Guns N' Roses, You Don't Know Remix, Meet the Parents, Somehow, Some Way, The Bounce, What They Gonna Do Part 2. Like, no. like it just, if the point of releasing this was to get those bonus tracks out, cool. The Stop was fire. I remember when Stop dropped, like that was a banger. I think the bonus, like I think it might have had that Punjabi MC remix on it too.
Oh, that shit was a banger, bro. That's what like niggas don't really niggas disrespect Jay-Z just right now. Like, think about how many Jay-Z songs are rocking. Like, I wasn't even in the club, but I get it. Like, you know, like,
bro,
when Matt Beware should actually hit, that shit was
crazy,
bro.
As soon as the beat dropped, you got the streets.
But I think, you know, the Blueprint 2.1 is just it's just a product of what you call it, just CD shit, just that era. If it was today, they would just make a playlist and then boost that.
Call it a day.
Fucking title or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Call it a day. All right. So would you consider Hov to be the best collaborator with the Neptunes?
Yeah, I mean, I think another story Elliot and I did for GQ was Snoop, and Snoop said that it's him and Hov, and I think that sounds about right. I think obviously you have to put Pusha up there.
Yep.
And I was actually fortunate enough to tell Pharrell, I was talking to Pharrell for a story that I didn't write, but I just helped out on. And we were talking about Neck and Wrist. I told him how much that song meant to me and just like restored. It just felt like this type of era, like a 2001 to 2005 type Neptunes, just like grimy space future beat that we haven't heard Jay-Z on in a while. Like I miss, you know, Jay-Z has so many people that he works great with. And I think that he could make a full album with all of them, you know? And I think it's funny because like he gets nowadays like in pockets with people, which is really interesting. He gets obviously like Blueprint 3, Watch the Throne, it's very Kanye heavy. Magna Carta was very Timbaland heavy. Obviously the 444 is all No ID.
Yep.
Then you know, he found that random pocket with Cool and Dre. So, you know, I think he hasn't found that he never locked in with the Neptunes like that to that extent, but what they've done together is crazy, and it's probably one of his most enduring relationships, right? They've never faltered at all. And I think, you know, like a song like Black Entrepreneur didn't really work for me that much. I've actually come around on it, but yeah, it's great to hear Neck and Wrist be like I said, like, you know, when those dudes try to make conscious or socially prescient records, you feel the effort a little bit more than when they just stunt and say something that's loaded.
Right.
And it was just great to hear Jay-Z on that specific type of Neptunes beat, just talking cat shit.
Yeah, man. I think Entrepreneur was just like, it was, again, like you said, it had good intentions, but it was flawed. But if you go back and listen to it, I think that's the problem, is that after it came out, people just didn't go back to listen to it. But like flow wise, like Hov did what he does. It
No,
wasn't
I wouldn't even say that. I think some of the lines are just clever because he's always gonna say
right.
clever shit. And then honestly, just like Pharrell repeating Black Man, just it kind of just beats you into submission. It's like, okay, I see this. This is genius.
Yeah.
Sure.
So what? All right, maybe that might be your answer, but give me your best or your favorite or your worst or least favorite Jay-Z and Neptunes collab.
I mean, best I think has to be the story of I mean, there's just no beating the story of I Just Want to Love You
Mm-hmm.
being made the night before and just like striking gold. I think, that's hard. Weakest, I don't know. Let me go through the line real quick.
I had
I really don't think I don't think I don't think they miss really. It's
yeah.
more just like
My guy, I had my guy Niles Vernon on, and I told him that I thought that anything
oh no,
was the
yeah,
worst,
yes, yeah,
and he
that's
disagreed. And I was like, he was like the first person that I've ever talked to that didn't think that that was the worst collab between the like
no,
Neptunes and
that
Hove.
song is horrible. That song is probably the worst Jay-Z song because that's a song where he's really not trying. Like earlier we were saying like even some of his weaker songs like the flow
Right,
is crazy or this has a crazy line or like they literally made that song at like in 30 seconds, I think.
right. That song deserves some of the like. I think Sunshine gets a lot of negative
That is
energy,
a fantastic song.
and I think some of that is undeserving. But anything deserves all of it.
Like lazy Usher hook, lazy J bars,
And
lazy
he keeps saying this
Pharrell.
for the strip clubs. I don't go to strip club that much, but that doesn't sound like a song that I would hear in the
Nah.
strip club. At least not the strip club that I've been to. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, that's a rare miss from them. But I would love to see Jay lock in with Pharrell a bit more in the way that Pusha has goes to Pharrell for a very specific sound. Like,
Yeah,
Pharrell's obviously a very worldly guy and he can do a bunch of shit, but Pusha still wants clip shit. And
right.
whatever Jay-Z is working on, whatever he puts out in the future, if and when he gets back in with the Neptunes, it would be cool to just see him. And, a great thing about Jay-Z is he doesn't chase, like he doesn't try to recreate,
Right.
which is good in the end run. But it would be nice to hear him on more neck and wrist type shit, talking that talk.
Yeah, for sure. And for the most part, I mean, you get the vibes that Pharrell doesn't like to do that either. Like to go back and try to like redo something or chase the energy. Like he talks about that all the time. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't really remember, like doesn't like to go back and talk about that. So, that brings me to my next question. Like, what are your thoughts on these basically three different people's future, right? Pharrell slash Chad, them as the Neptunes, and then Hove. Like, what do you see or what do you feel is next for them?
I mean, Pharrell and Chad, I think they go through phases of being locked in as they always were and being more on separate paths.
Yep.
I just think it's objective truth that they're stronger together. So I would like to see them continue to produce together. They have one of the most like titanic runs in pop history. So yeah, and then Jay, I think, like Jay has said, he'll never announce retirement again. He's not pressed. He doesn't want to make albums for the sake of making albums.
Right.
But I do think he is committed. Like people always give him businessman shit and that type of shit, but the guy loves to rap, and I think in some ways something like the Khaled verse scratches the itch, and in some ways the response to it, which was obviously a little bit overhyped. We want to be honest, a little bit overhyped. It's not like I think he's rapping harder on the Written Testimony album
Mm-hmm.
than this verse, but it's a great verse. So I think the response, like he scratched the itch. Yeah, he got his State of the Union thing out, and but the response might gas him up to hopefully. I don't know. Jay-Z could have an album ready to drop tomorrow,
Yeah.
but then it doesn't make sense to those guys think of everything in like chess moves too. It's like why would he drop the album while Beyonce's still doing her thing?
Right. Yep.
So they're just in different spaces right now. We'll never get that one project a year run from ever again. But I think it's kind of like Pusha says too this year. Like they're redefining what it means to be an older artist.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Jay-Z will continue to pop up and do
whatever he wants.
what he wants when he wants. And, you know, like I said, the Neptunes are just one of many collaborators that really bring out, you know, everyone I think brings out like a different side of him.
Yeah. And that was a dope point that Guru made when you guys were talking to him about how, like you said, what it means to age as an artist, especially an artist in hip hop, is they're defining that as we go now, right? Like there's not really a precedent of people making it past a certain age and still being out, like, but they do it in all these other genres. So like, you know, Guru said in that interview, James Brown and Mike Jackson, like they did that basically until they died. So like,
Yeah.
not saying that we want Hov to do that, right? But it's definitely a different energy, like compared to when he was on that 10 Summers, where it's like, yo, I got to do this because I'm trying to make this money. But now it's like, okay, cool. I got this brand. I've established myself. I can do whatever I want.
As long as they don't get, when it comes to Jay and the Neptunes in their respective fields, I think as long as they don't get caught up in trying to compete and trying to keep up with the dominant thing in the culture,
right?
I think they're going to be fine. They're going to keep putting out relevant and vital projects.
Right. And just being self-aware to know who is relevant too, right? Knowing your audience and knowing that you're not going to measure success of this song or this project because it's on the radio or because it's like you're doing power or whatever, like, you know, power or whatever festival show or whatever. Like, no, like we good. I'm gonna do this because I feel it. I believe in it. And the people that's gonna feel it is gonna believe it. And whoever don't, it's cool. I'm good.
But I do think they're at their best when they push themselves, right? Like they are, first of all, they're comfortable, they're familiar, they're friends for however, like 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like the story, like I remember writing a piece about Magna Carta. It's like a song like BBC was a song they just created because they were all like in their room, you know, and they're just like, let's make a song, which I find that song inoffensive, but it's like, I think when you're too familiar, you have to remember to push yourself too.
Right.
You know, like let's take it to the next level. I think Blue Magic is an underrated J Neptunes. That's
agree.
one of those things where it's like, I can't recall if like Chad is actually on that or not. It might be credited Neptunes, but at the time it might have seemed like it's just for LB. I don't know. But same shit to a degree. Great song.
Yeah. And speaking on the future of Pharrell specifically, like the whole Jupiter thing right now, we just had a crazy quote about it where he was like, I was walking around the gallery. I was present in the gallery looking at my past, knowing what I have planned for the future. Like, I was like, bro, like, what are you doing, man? So you dropping the album, we got Cash In, Cash Out came out this year. The Travis one's coming out soon. Like, are we getting music? Are we getting like some kind of clones type album from you? Like, what is going on there? It'd be interesting to see.
Word.
Also, I'm 100% all in that Eclipse album is coming. I have all the evidence I need. I'm betting on it. An Eclipse album is coming.
It's something that we have to will, and you know, hope they do it the right way.
It's gonna be interesting, man. Like just the two songs that they've done together since like this year were very strong, and Malice sounded like sharp as ever. So I don't know, man. Let's just see how they approach it. Like, cause you know, we're gonna just go back and pay homage to Lord Willing and go 100% Neptunes and Pharrell production. Or are you gonna take the other approach where you're gonna mix in some people that like mix in some Kanye? I don't know. Like we'll see. I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm excited about it. All right, before I let you go, because I know you are a big pop culture guy, like follow you on Twitter. So like it's funny when you say like non-music shit, and I'm just like laughing because I relate to it or I fuck with it too. So I'm just gonna give you some rapid fire shit. All right.
Let's get it.
What's the best out of the movies from the Jurassic Park franchise?
Oh, that's still gotta be the first. Yeah.
I think the first one is no question the best one, but I think the second one, The Lost World, gets hate because it's so crazy. Like Jeff Goldblum pops up with the black daughter and like she's doing gymnastics.
Underrated movie. Grossly underrated movie.
I think The Lost World is really dope. Yeah. Like I fuck with The Lost World hard.
That's all just right. Where it's like you put the first one would go in like the Library of Congress, right? So just because the second one didn't reach that level, then
right.
Whoa, what? Dude, sequels are a mistake.
Yeah, man. I mean, the wrap up of the last movie though was just like absolutely. I was unimpressed. I felt.
Dog, I didn't even see that. I won't. I'm good. Time is money.
That's real. All right. What's your favorite Seinfeld episode?
I was just watching Seinfeld before we hopped on. One of my favorite that's like favorite Jay-Z song. It'll change every day. I think a personal favorite, it's not the best episode, but like I laugh like I've never seen it every time it's on, is The Secret Code, when
Mm,
George accidentally kills
yes.
his mother.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
It's so funny. Like I growing up in Richmond, and me and my mom didn't have cable until I was like eighth grade, right? But like the local Fox station used to play even before the show was off air. Like they used to play syndicated reruns of Seinfeld at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock dinner time. So me and my mom are like eating dinner and watching Seinfeld every day. And I'm just like laughing at some of it, but not understanding the jokes. But now as a grown ass man, I'm like, yo, this
Yeah.
is fucking ridiculous. Like, how was this
Actually,
on TV? These jokes are so inappropriate.
actually, the my favorite episode is the Cheever letters, when they have to tell Susan's parents that the cabin burned down, and they out her father, and then
Right.
goes on a date with Elaine's secretary. All that shit. That's just top to bottom heater.
There's so many episodes, and so like I'm putting my girlfriend onto it now on Netflix, like watching Netflix and like just making sure that she's paying attention, because when you get into like the later seasons, I think probably like 5, 6, 7, each episode is connected to some other episode down the line where they're like mentioning shit where you're like, yo, that's funny. Oh yeah, they talked about that. Like, oh yeah. So yeah, man, crazy. Like we just watched the soup episode last week, and she was like, bro, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right, what's the best season of Entourage?
Two, James Cameron season.
I think two. I like two a lot. I'd say my favorite season. I think I like three. I'd say three. I think I like three part one
Yeah, yeah,
for the
yeah.
same reasons. Like it's like the James Cameron shit is spilling
They're
out.
like 1A, 1B.
Yeah, I definitely fuck with
It's
like
valid for sure. 3 part 2 is where it goes.
yeah three part one where you have the first episode is about like trying to get a date to go to the
Yeah,
premiere, and then the second episode is when they're in the valley with the kids.
which is the best episode of the series. So.
Dope. It's and I love Entourage. I personally think that I think season 7 is crazy, and it's like I appreciate what they were trying to do. It's hard to rewatch season 7
What I will
because
say,
it's so uncomfortable.
season 7 is trash, but, and this is no disrespect to my Entourage homies, what's crazy about that season is it's indicative of how well, I remember talking to the show's creator. I interviewed him like 2 or 3 times before. And one time he was like, people think the show is satire, especially early on, but we are really just writing what we know. And if you go back and stand, like that show predicted so many trends, so many industry trends, movie trends. Like I think Entertainment Weekly has a whole list of like fake Entourage movies that actually became real movies,
Right.
or indicative of real things. We don't have to go down the list. But what I will say about season 7 is that even though I don't enjoy that season, it's really crazy to me. I was thinking about this the other day, that Ari basically gets canceled, or like in a Me Too-esque situation, pretty much 10 years before any of that was in popular lexicon. So
I had never thought about that, but that's fucking crazy. Because that's real.
The show doesn't get, because it's so broy, people don't give it its intellectual credit in terms of just Hollywood. Like Hollywood's a very dumb place, so maybe it doesn't seem that intellectual, but it's written by people that really understand the nuances of the industry more than they're given credit for. That's what I'll say about season 7.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a dope perspective. I mean, I think for me, I always come back to it just for the sake, like the broy part of it is why we love it though. Like just the not the like ignorant broy part, but like just the camaraderie of having people, like if you have friends who you've known for a long time that you actually like genuinely fuck with, like
of course,
could you imagine having them around when one of us is ascending to these crazy heights and being able to like do cool shit and everyone be around, but also everyone know their role and kind of grow into it. I think that's a really dope part of why I love the show, just to see them all go through the different phases, from E stepping out on his own around season 6, and like even Turtle getting his money on, and like it's I do agree, like season 7 is rough, but shout out to Scott Benner. He is part of the reason why the whole series is like got that extra vibe in terms of the music to actually like help with some of the stories.
Always
Definitely enhances a lot of different moments, because you can see it, like even in, I tweeted about this last month, like even in the movie, which obviously big Neptunes guy, the significance when Ari goes to the meeting where they're talking about firing him and he pulls up in the helicopter and Scott Venner puts Super Thug on there, and I was like, see, I see what you did there, bro. I appreciate that.
Nah, we always got to shout out to Scott Benner. That's the homie. That's a genius, integral in the way TV is made and the way TV interacts with popular music. You
For
got to
sure.
give him credit to that. And my first ever profile. So big homie.
Dope. All right, bro. Appreciate you, man. I know you got a lot of shit going on. You got places to be and people to see and shit. But not so.
I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I'm glad we got to finally do this, bro.
Yeah, man. So before I let you go, what you got coming up? What should people be looking out for?
I just, I'm playing the role of GQ, man. I'm boosting the team. We got the we always go hard for the Man of the Year issue and last issue of the year, so that's gonna be a banger. I'm excited about the people we got on the cover and inside for that. I think I might write like 1 or 2 stories to end the year. I'm feeling really lazy right now in terms of me writing personally, but I'm overseeing some very cool stories that I think the culture is gonna dig. Yeah, we're just gonna ride the year out strong.
That's what's up, bro. Appreciate you.
No doubt.
Go ahead, plug your social handles. Yo, who is Thackeray Binks, bro? What is that?
That's me fooling around on Halloween. Halloween. That's the Hocus Pocus homie.
Okay.
You ever watch Hocus Pocus?
I did, man, but I don't know. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it in years though.
You bugging. They keep that shit running on October on ABC Family. You could catch that shit on any given hour. That's the cat, the talking cat.
Gotcha.
You ever notice, like, some people, especially like in the film industry, and like the film critic industry, I mean, they will just change their display names to some Halloween shit for the month. So that's just I did it one year and I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep doing it just as a running gag. Like, people hit me up like, all right, that time, it's that time. And it's just like such a funny name. Like, it's the most ridiculous name.
Yes, it is. But your real social is the Summer Man on both platforms.
Sir, both platforms, _Summerman. That's me.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, man. This was dope. We gotta figure out another name for Ho Vendors. I'm gonna work on that.
I'm just saying, like, I just feel like we can do better. That's all. I'm just putting the challenge out there. No offense to anyone.
All right, bro. Thanks again to my man Fraser Tharpe. Checking out another episode of Neptunes Sunday. It's your boy V Moss. Catch y'all later. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Peace and love.
Peace.